When deciding to become vegan, the most area of concern is, where do I get my protein? Now, we need protein in order to build and repair our tissues, such as bones, hair, muscles, and blood. Now, as a man, you need about 56 grams per day, and as a woman, it's a little bit lower at 46 grams per day. But as a vegan, where can I get my protein? Well, seitan is at the top of the list. It is a wheat gluten, and it comes in at 25 grams per 3.5 ounces. Now, if you have celiac or have any gluten issues, that's a hard no. Next up is tofu, tempeh, and edamame. They come from soybeans. They also contain your iron, your calcium, and comes in at 10 to 19 grams per 3.5 ounces, and also gives us our essential amino acids. Now, lentils come in at 19 grams. They also assist with leaving out excess body weight, heart disease, and a diet that is full with protein, and it's also at the top of the list. Last but not least is the chickpea, also known as the garbanzo beans. It comes in at 15 grams per 3.5 ounces, and a diet that is enriched in beans lowers your cholesterol and gives you your vital vitamins. I'm Angela Yvonne, and this is VeganPopEats. Well, today we are here at The Gradient at 17 Wyckoff Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. This female-owned bar is the brainchild of Melissa Manning and Ali Moya. Now, this space is known for having the bomb-ass dance parties, phenomenal drag shows, and this has the best bar vegan food this side of the L train. I'm also here with Lani Lee. She is a photographer who has worked with major brands such as Pornhub and Playboy, and I can't wait to talk to her. Let's eat. Hi everyone, and once again we have another episode, but this time I have one of my favorite people, Lani Lee. She is a photographer and she works with major brands such as Playboy and Pornhub, and she is here to show us what she likes to eat. Hi Lani, how are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm so glad we got each other.
Thank you so much. You were super busy, and I'm glad that you took time out to talk with me. But we are here at The Gradient, and let's just get into this conversation. How are you eating?
How am I eating?
Yes.
Well, it looks like we have a bunch of treats in front of us.
Absolutely.
Today. But at home, you know, when I'm back in New York, I started using this thing called Daily Harvest.
Yes.
And I love it. It allows me to have, like, we're gonna plug Daily Harvest now, but for real, I really
It's not an ad.
It's not an ad. But they can send me stuff whenever they feel like it.
Absolutely.
Hint, hint. But no, I mean, it just means that I have like smoothies and bowls and different things that I can make in a few minutes in my house all the time, and that groceries don't go bad when I'm not at home. And as far as like what else I'm eating, there's so many options in New York. I'm not cooking a lot right now though.
Right.
But most of my food is still vegan and plant-based.
Yes, I'm so excited. So when you decided, I know that you're probably like vegan adjacent because you still eat meat, correct?
I do here and there. Like I will eat sushi here and there, and I guess more than anything, it's more of like I'm not saying an absolute no.
Right.
To meat, but most of the time it's not what I'm eating. So every once in a while I'll have sushi, or I'll have a piece of fish, or you know, I think I had a piece of steak in November. You know, so very infrequently. But I don't like the idea of completely saying I can only have this, I can only have that.
Right.
And then for the most part, I don't eat a lot of dairy either, but I'm not great about checking like, is this 100% vegan every time I eat something.
Right. So what are some of the misconceptions that you've heard about being a vegan? Because a lot of people don't want to cross over because they feel that they're going to do without so many things. What are some of the things that you have heard, and what prevents you from crossing all the way over?
I think one thing that I think that is a good thing to clear up is that just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're healthy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can eat a lot of trash,
absolutely,
vegan or not. And I think that a harder thing for me is less about food and more about products in my life in general. So I have a lot of vintage stuff that's still leather, shoes that are leather. Like, that was a harder part for me to fully make the transition to what you would consider being vegan, because it's not just about food.
Well, there's different levels, because I'm 90% plant-based, and like you said, just because I'm vegan doesn't make me healthy, because I do indulge in some of the processed foods. But I think that when you're crossing over, it's more about baby steps. Like I had a friend, when she became vegan, she was like, you can have my Louis Vuitton bags, you can have this, you can have that. And I was just like, you know what? If you give me a Louis Vuitton bag, I know that you meant it. So I'm not like hardcore like the animal activists are. I'm more so vegan because of health issues, or not really health issues, but wanting to become a little bit more healthier. And that's one of the reasons why I became vegan. But I like to let people know that you don't have to throw away your leather.
I mean, I think that there are people that are vegan that would argue with you about what being a vegan is. The animal activists, Yeah, I think that for me, like I try to not buy new products that are made with animals, but I don't see the point in not having or carrying or whatever something that already exists. And for me, there is a part about the animal part was a big motivating factor in when I first went that route, and I think just an overall consciousness to like what I'm eating and what I'm buying and what my money is paying for, right? By what companies am I supporting? But there's privilege in even being able to make those decisions with our money too.
That is true.
I mean, like, it's a rabbit hole that we could go down all the way, right? About food choices, but then also homeware, clothing choices, and all of that. I think that the main reason that I don't go and say like I'm a vegan tomorrow and then stick by that is just not wanting to say that I'm an anything tomorrow and stick by anything right now. I'm really just trying to, I had a surgery that, in fact, it was actually after my surgery that I stopped being vegan because my body was asking for different things. And I say no to whatever the craving I was having.
Do you think it was more of a convenience factor, because when you're healing, you needed just more elements than maybe what supplements could provide? Or
I mean, I think that, like, when I think about it from a scientific standpoint, I love these ideas of like, right, if you look at like a lion's digestive tract versus, and like, y'all can fact check me, I don't know, I look at Google too. I'm not a scientist, but these common sense ideas of like, if a lion has a 5-foot digestion tract that's meant for eating meat and they sleep all day, versus a giraffe that has like something that's more along the lines of ours and they have flat teeth like ours, that we're not really like built for eating meat. Like, we have to cook it.
Absolutely.
That's a factor right there that's like, oh, maybe your body's not really made for this if you have to cook it to not get sick. Or, I always joke about the fact that like, if I haven't eaten dairy or meat in years and I eat it, then I feel sick.
I do too.
But if I eat an orange after not eating an orange for 10 years, I'm fine. Like,
you get your vitamin C.
So those are probably things that are saying like, oh, this isn't really made for your body if this is what happens to your body when you ingest it after not ingesting it for a while. And I definitely notice when I eat meat, I don't feel as good. I don't feel as good. I don't feel as good when I eat dairy. I don't feel as good, but I also don't feel as good when I eat fried foods or, you know,
because of the oils and different things like that.
Heavy, you know, more heavy, sorry, heavy foods. I tend to do best when I'm eating stuff that is made from plants and minimally cooked and, you know, like has the least amount of shit in it and the least amount of like steps to becoming whatever it turns into.
Absolutely.
And, you know, like, and I think everybody's different in what they like and what fits their body constitution, you know, like I don't like eating very heavy meals, you know, I'd rather eat a little bit at a time all throughout the day. And I do really well with like liquid nutrition. I do well with smoothies and stuff like that. And some people are like, I did not feel nourished by that smoothie. Like, give me something.
It depends because,
you know?
like you said, with Daily Harvest, all those ingredients are plant-based and they're filling because they know they have the science of putting certain elements
doing
together.
It on purpose.
And fiber and things of that nature.
They have a mint chocolate chip smoothie.
I know you had made it for me.
Man, and that should taste like ice cream to me. Oh, so good.
And that's what I'm just so excited about because, you know, I've been vegan for 2 years and it's so many levels to becoming vegan, and then there's so many different options that you can eat. So with more and more things that are coming out, I love the fact that it's expanding people's minds to we eat more than just fruit and salad, and I say that all the time. Like right now we have this amazing spread in front of us and I am ready to eat, so I want you to get started and start off with the wings because the Gradient has the bomb ass wings, and I hate to say bomb ass, but the bomb ass wings, and they're vegan.
I love you can tell me if I'm wrong or right, but I think they're vegan, the Morningstar ones, the buffalo wings.
So the vegan, but
is that right or wrong?
What's so crazy about it is that Morningstar was I call them the training wheels for the vegans, because when I first became vegan, I was all about it. But then I found out that some of them are not completely vegan. It'll be like vegetarian, like the Boca burgers and things of that nature. And all that time, I thought I was eating completely vegan food.
Are they not?
But they'll put
specify.
Yeah, they'll specify and be like, oh, this is vegan, this is vegetarian, because I think they sometimes put maybe egg in it or something in it to keep it binded or something like that.
It's crazy what people don't realize in food that you would just be like, of course that's vegan because it doesn't have meat or dairy in it. Why would it, you know, but it can have like some weird shit you had no idea. Like she was just saying, what was she saying about the drink that a whiskey sour?
A whiskey sour. I didn't know it had egg in it.
Yeah,
but now
I didn't know.
They've made vegan whiskey sours and they use the froth from chickpeas in order to make a whiskey sour.
So I've done a bunch of that crazy shit too, where I am like getting recipes and making things like chickpea froth into egg white froth into something else. And I have to say that's not really it turned me off of veganism to some extent.
Oh wow.
Because I mean, like I was cooking for a kid at the time too and trying to find things that like you were like sneaky hiding healthy food and stuff that seemed more fun. But I prefer food that is what it is.
Right.
Instead of instead of the Impossible Burger, I would prefer a black bean burger.
Right.
Where the burger itself is supposed to taste like black beans.
Exactly.
Not supposed to taste like an imitation of something else. Plus, you can also get right back down the processed food rabbit hole with that stuff too. And sometimes it can kind of gross me out when I'm making why is there chickpea in my drink? Yeah. For froth, do I really need that? You know, versus just eating
plant-based.
Or having a drink that has lemonade and water and
but I think because
I understand some people really like to replace things that they feel like they're missing out on.
But I was listening to a podcast called Plant Proof, and they were talking about how
I would normally never eat this with a fork and knife. I don't know.
It's fine. You don't have to. I was listening to Plant Proof, and what they were saying is that to not get being a vegan versus plant-based twisted, because a lot of people are replacing the faux burgers and the faux chicken and things of that nature, but a vegan is plant-based. And when they have the processed meats and things like that, I think it's more of easing people into it when the thought of it came to, because
Being vegan is being plant-based?
No, plant-based and being vegan are two different things.
Yeah. Okay.
And what plant-based is basically plant-based. Like your nuts and your, vegetables and things that aren't processed. But I think that when the concept came around, you have to ease people into anything, in things, and especially with the stigma with being vegan, they feel like you're missing out.
Or depending on what they want.
Right. And so what I'm amazed at is that there's so many chefs that are taking like zucchini and making it into pasta and making it into, whatever my heart's desire, and it's plant-based versus, and I get it, because whenever I see this burger, I'm like, oh my God, I'm vegan, so I don't, no animal was harmed. But at the same time, it goes back. Is it strong?
It's hot. No, this is hot.
Oh, and at the same time, you look at it as in, we go back to, just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're healthy, because in the podcast that I was listening to, he was saying that, if you consume so many of the processed things, you might as well just go ahead and eat animals.
Especially if they're trying to make them taste better with sugar and you know what I mean.
And people
and salt, basically. I have a very good friend who was vegan for many, many years, and literally all he ate was like bread.
That's how I started.
All he ate was bread.
I was bread and pasta, and I was just like
bread and like soda.
Yeah, because
and bread.
Because you're so scared. You're not scared, but you're just like, there's no true guide to be like, oh, this is what you eat as vegan. Especially when I lived in a small town and there were no vegan restaurants at all. So I basically had YouTube. I basically had recipes that I found online in order to get me through whatever I was trying to get through. But when I moved to New York, that's when my nose and my eyes were opened up, because there's like vegan restaurants everywhere in New York.
And I know a lot of people that find it healthier or easier to eat healthier, right? They eat a salad, they eat a small piece of chicken breast, rinse and repeat, right? And then when they want to take the chicken out of their meal, then they really have no idea of what to add in, right? And these ideas of protein, when, I think that there's like a mix of what we need nutritionally, and we're not necessarily, I don't miss animal protein in my daily life, but I'm also eating a lot of things that are meeting my needs. Right.
Because when I became vegan, I knew that I had to get my B12 and my D3s from supplements, because B12 is something that, we need. And so that's the only thing that I, because I'm not a medicine taker. Because I'm
your face.
I'm not. I hate taking medicine. I hate taking medicine. Like, but I had to find it in liquid form, because to think that I have to take supplements, in my brain, I feel like me taking medicine, and I'm like, I'm healthy, I'm plant-based. But every morning I make sure I have my B12 and my D3, and now that I'm hooked on all these different plant podcasts, now I find out that I need to get iodine and I need to get omega-3s and all these different things.
So what do you think though about those things, because I struggle with the idea that if I'm eating what I should be eating for my body, I shouldn't really need additional.
But you don't have to.
Supplements.
You don't have to, but
I don't have to do shit.
Right. You only had to do two things.
Die and what was the other one? Pay taxes?
Yeah, those are only two things. But with the supplements and things of that nature, for a long time I didn't take them. And then I was just like, well, if I'm gonna cross over full-heartedly, I feel it's like a support blanket.
Sure. I guess, the one supplement that I take regularly is vitamin D, because of living in New York.
Because we don't get it from the sun.
And to actually get it from the sun the way that we're meant to, we have to absorb it in our skin over a 24-hour period, so you have to not shower.
Really?
Yeah, because you wash it off of yourself, And if you think about the way that we used to live hundreds of years ago, where we didn't shower as regularly, and you would accumulate that sun on your skin and also that sweat and that whatever, and it would have a chance to stay there long enough to absorb into your body in a way that we're so hygienic now that we don't give it the same chance to.
I learned something
right?
new. That's interesting. But now I want to learn more about you. You are a photographer and you take amazing pictures of amazing bodies, amazing spaces. How did you decide that this was something that you wanted to do? Because it's clear if you go on your IG that you have an eye. And I believe whenever people are creatives, you either have a gift or you don't have a gift. And when I see your pictures, I do. And when I see your pictures, I'm just like, golly, because you do a lot of behind the scenes. You show, the different angles and things of that nature. But how did this come about?
Can you say golly one more time?
Golly.
Golly. It happened really early for me. So like 19 early, which would make this year 17 years.
Wow.
Of doing this, yeah.
I only thought you were
17 or 18 years, yeah.
You look 19.
Amazing, thank you.
It's the unicorn tears.
Must be all that fake veganism. I think that, it was right around that time where people were just starting to get like amateur digital cameras, and I got one of those like Canon PowerShot, whatever, and I took a picture and somebody liked it and then offered me an opportunity to do a job in New York. And I was in California at the time, and I flew out to New York and I did my first job.
Really?
Yep.
That's it?
Yep. And I was hooked. And then because I hadn't done a traditional high school experience, I had to I went to art school and I learned how to shoot film, and I spent my first 2 years black and white only and only film, which was really good for me. There's things that there wasn't an option to do it digitally back then either, because you're talking about, I went to school in 2002, 2003.
And you still look 19.
And still look 19. And so, I feel really lucky that I kind of hit it right at that time where digital was gonna be big soon, but I also really got a chance to learn using medium format film and black and white, and the reason they want you to do that is so that you can literally look at this room, and gradient is funny as the name because I can see a gradient of black and white in everything I see. I know what this would look like in black and white versus what this would look like, because you train your brain, right? And as far as being like having a gift, I think I read this great thing recently. It was talking about how when we get into a creative field, it's because we have good taste. We have an aesthetic. We have good taste. But when we start in our creative field, because we have good taste, we know we're trash. We're like, oh, my shit ain't that good.
Right.
And a lot of people give up before their skill can meet up to their good taste. And so they can be really hard on themselves and give up before like the magic has happened, because they're like, well, I know what I like and my stuff's not that good, And when I look back at my early work, I wasn't that good. It wasn't like I had this magical ability of like, boom, I have an eye and now, no, there was some really, really horrible attempts at,
But that's with anything though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So it's not like, I think a lot of us have this idea that it's gonna happen right away if you're like talented. And it's not always that. It's that.
I think when that happens is because you have your little circle that's just like, oh my God, you're the business. You're the heat. You just coming through with everything. And then you get in front of people who aren't giving you the heat. And you're just like, so do I got it or I don't got it?
Yeah.
Because everybody in this mile radius thinks that I'm, the second coming.
Yeah.
But then I get in front of the people who don't know me and they're just looking at me like a 5-year-old could have did this, and I think that that's also why people stop. But I started listening to like motivational speakers and things of that nature, and he was saying that you just have to put, you know, like the horses have the blinders on it.
Yeah.
You just have to create and just put it out there and don't even worry about what someone has to say.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to say. It's like I really loved it. I really loved it.
And you can tell
I
through your
loved the
pictures.
way it made me feel. I loved the opportunity I got to interact with other people, to make them feel some sort of way about themselves. And, you know, those things started really pulling me in. And then, you know, over consistency and continuing to show up and whatever, you know, and then I really found that the other thing that I feel like I'm good at, which is my interactions with people. You know, then the two things combined, and then I was able to find opportunities because of the way that I would be around people. And
because when I met you, I was just like, who is this woman? Your energy was just so infectious because you command a room without commanding the room, because it's almost like, I want to say it's almost like meeting a unicorn. Because the reason why I say that is because, you know, there's so many things that's going on, and people talk about living in New York and just different things.
This is where my horn goes.
Yeah. And when I met you, I was just like, well, who is that? And everyone had such positive things to say about you that I was just like, oh my goodness, she would be cool to know. And I can't even pinpoint what made me speak to you or you spoke to me, or I think it was more so I was just looking at like, oh, she must be fancy, because everybody was just like, hey, and everybody knew you. But yeah, I'm glad I met you.
Thank you. I'm glad I know you too, and I feel like you have a similar energy in that way. And you know, it
depends on who you ask.
Me too, though.
It depends on who you ask.
Me too.
Because I will turn it up.
Me too.
Twice.
I mean, I've had enough time away from when I really used to do things of that nature. But you know, there's something magical about being able to hold the energy for a space, and that's what being on set is like, right? And I have to lead by example, and so whatever my energy is, it sets the tone for everybody on set that day.
Absolutely.
And how am I going to ask you to do your job if I'm not, you know what I mean? And so being able to really work with large groups of people and be the boss in that way has been such a great experience, and being able to have a team of people that work together over and over again, and then you have this stranger that comes in, the one who's being shot that day, and then we have to make them feel comfortable too, you know what I mean? And or not comfortable, because it's not always about making people feel comfortable, it's about trying to get whatever the emotion is that we're looking for, right? But yeah, such an amazing experience to be able to interact with other people and still create. You know, I can't imagine doing an art where I was alone most of the time. But my alone time is the time that I revamp and like I don't know, take care of myself. I like being alone a lot. But in the creation process, I love collaborating and working with other people and getting that magicalness from everybody and everybody's input and whatever. You never know what's gonna happen.
So what is next for you? Like, is there like a level that you aspire to be, or do you feel that you've reached it? What would be the ultimate like assignment for you?
I feel like you know, like I feel like that's like the big question right now. I had mentioned a surgery before. I've actually taken a few years off. I'm just kind of getting back into shooting again, and that's the hardest part right now, is figuring out what is the next goal, right? And I feel so lucky because
you've accomplished a lot.
I do feel like I've accomplished some big things for myself, and almost in this weird way, it's kind of like we had talked about before, like I have worked with Playboy as a client, and that's probably the biggest name on my roster, but it allowed me this second time around to kind of have this freedom of like, come at me, bro. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, think what you want about me. Even if I didn't do another thing for the rest of my career, like,
That
whatever
is bomb.
goals that I had to, whatever I was trying to prove to myself from where I came from, what I grew up with, what an asshole I was in junior high, and
Right.
you know, the lack of time I spent in high school or whatever, like those things I've already proved myself to myself in that
Right.
way. And so it kind of takes the pressure off this second time around of like, okay, like, I don't know what I want to do yet, but I know that this time around I really care more about shooting a more inclusive group of people for what I believe is beautiful.
Right.
And I really care more about my overall values
Right.
and ethics in my life versus just like, oh my God, I gotta get on a cover.
Right.
Oh, I gotta do a billboard. I gotta, you know, I care less about selling people shit or having the best headline, you know, like thing for myself. It's less ego driven, I think, and more like, what do I want to contribute to
Right.
this next time around? And I think there's going to be some projects that aren't necessarily around photography.
Oh,
I have some
can't wait.
bigger dreams.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait because I know it's going to be phenomenal. Phenomenal.
something.
Phenomenal.
It's gonna be something.
Phenomenal. I couldn't even get it out of like phenomenal. Well, thank you so much for being here with Vegan Pop Eats. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for
I enjoyed our
having me.
times. Let's do a little cheers. Yes, for
The
Vegan Pop
mocktail
Eats.
to the cocktail.
Mocktail to the cocktail.
How amazing was that? I got to enjoy great company and also in this bomb-ass space. And you need to make sure that you check it out. And once again, be good to yourself and be good to others. I'm Angela Yvonne, and this is Vegan Pop Eats.